All right, no background noise. Okay, so won't be on for long. Um, what is wrong with Dillian Whyte? Seriously, what is wrong with Dillian Whyte? What is wrong with that dude? That guy, okay, has been badly advised. Okay, turn my damn switch on. Okay, that dude needs to understand that this whole suing of the WBC is not going to get him his title shot. But we do know that Dillian got offered a title shot. Joshua offered him a fight. Yet Joshua was ducking Whyte. Go figure, huh? How do you figure that? Oh, man. Dillian Whyte. Dillian Whyte. This dude. It really is becoming a mess now. Like, everything's becoming a mess. Like, there's a mob dealer that's associated with Tyson Fury. Sky Sports don't want to go near that Daniel Canahan. Anthony Joshua's got a freaking tweaked knee. Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren have come out with stuff that saying that terms have been agreed to for a fight. You know, when there's no contracts involved, because Joshua's going to fight a fucking mandatory that's overdue, that's due in September, but is granted more time to defend it for the IB. Then Bob Arum's come out with Usyk and freaking Whyte possibly fighting for a mandatory spot. That is weird. That is incredibly weird. Too much rubbish going on. And Jarrell Miller's back. Can you believe that? The man took EPO, human growth hormone, and he took some GP G303 or something. Crazy. Will has commented, how long did he have to wait? I feel sorry for the dude. He had the opportunity in 2018. He had the opportunity. He got offered a Joshua fight. He got offered eliminators. There is no waiting with Dillian. Dillian's waited himself. It's on Dillian. It's all on Dillian. If it's not on Dillian, it's on the people advising him. Maybe it's Dean White or, Lamar Scott. Don't even know if that's his brother. Lamar Scott that saves people in planes. Jeez, man. You know what? A channel named Porky's Corner, because I follow that channel, he said that Dillian should sue WBC. And like he's made several videos on it. And you know, I wasn't like on board with that, but I thought, you know, if it gets him his title shot quicker, maybe, right? It's not, because at the end of the day, I look at it and I'm like, no, this dude turned down opportunities. Okay? This dude turned down opportunities and didn't get them. Now Hearn has got a decision to make. Give Dillian his title shot, or do I let the biggest fight in boxing happen if, you know, everything falls through to plan? If Fury wins and Joshua gets through Pulev. Yeah? Because remember, Joshua's got to get that mandatory out the way. That's a long overdue mandatory, that. Long overdue. IBF states, once you win that title, you got 9 months to defend the mandatory. You can have exemptions, but, you know, there is a virus, you know, so they're not going to actually say, oh, by September you got to fight. But he does need a fight, Joshua. And he's injured. But there's just too much mess now going around. There's too much bullshit. Look, it was business. He had a showdown with Joshua. but he was basically WBC #1 for a couple of years. Wilder didn't give him that smoke. Why would Wilder give him the smoke when Wilder was fighting better guys? You can't avoid. You can't. How do I word this? You can't not want smoke from someone when you're fighting guys that are better. How do you fucking fight number 16? Excuse my French. How do you fight number 16 and then become #1? You got to remember, rather than Whyte fight Hellenius, he should have fought Brazil on short notice. Then he would have been the mandatory. Dillian literally got his own eliminator done. Like, he got his own done with Rivas. He waited, and he waited, and he got it. He got it in July. And he went into the ring dirty. Different gloves. Yeah, that Rivas' team wasn't notified of. And Diana Bowl. Before the fight. It was in his system. In his system. And you know what? People call me a hater. I love Dillian Whyte. I've been to his gym. I've been around his guys. Hold on, Will. I'll address that in a sec. Oh, man. I've been to his gym. I've been to Brixton. I've seen Dean White at Bethnal Green. I like Dillian. Been rooting for him. And I have wanted to see him fight Wilder. But don't act like certain people have avoided him. RF Boxing, shout out. White could have fought Ortiz for a final eliminator. Yes. Why do people want to act like that didn't happen? Oh, come on, watcher. That sounds silly saying Wilder faced better fighters. We're talking before Fury. Not a better fighter than White? Yeah. He did fight top 10 WBC guys. And he did it before Dillian. And the guy that Dillian went to a decision with that he almost got knocked out by, Johan Dulpar, knocked him out and also became a silver champion like Dillian Whyte. He beat Bermain Stavern in 2015, who's got a higher KO percent ratio, who was a champion, who was Vitaly, but Vitaly retired. He fought Spilka. Whatever people want to say about Spilka, he gave. Yeah. Now, Spilka's no good anymore, but then he was at his best. And again, you can't fight people who avoid you, who price themselves out, and who are in other sanctioning bodies. Yeah? A lot of these people who dislike Wilder, they like to use Dillian as a way to criticize Wilder. They like to use Joshua as a way to criticize Wilder. My criticism of Whyte is that he talks too much shit and he can't really back it up fully because his actions have shown that he doesn't really want to fight. And I actually do take it back sort of about who's advised him. Probably Dean White's advised him and fucking told him what to do. Hearn's given him pay-per-views. Joshua pay-per-view on the undercard of Joshua versus Takam. White versus who else? White versus Parker. White versus Chisora, where he could have fought Ortiz again. White versus Rivas. And he got put on the fucking undercard of Joshua and Ruiz. Spilka was Wilder's only legitimately ranked opponent. How? The others were in the top 10. Johan Dulpar was number 12 or number 11. People going about Wilder's resume. Sure, before he fought guys like Malik Scott, yeah, his resume was bad. Many boxers have that resume. Joshua fought some of the same guys Wilder fought. You can say potatoes and tomato cans, but everyone's fought those guys. This is no different with Wilder. Spilka was almost a top 5 guy. His only loss was to Brian Jennings. Back then, he was good. You know? This is why I like the UFC, because there's not a lot of this drama. The fights just get made. There's too much money in boxing. You know, there's too much politics with it. Or there's people that just don't want to fight. I'm not saying the UFC doesn't do that, but, you know, those guys came from... Hold on, I got to see this. Those guys came from nowhere and weren't ranked with other sanctioning bodies. Who? Which guys? Which other guys? Name them, and I'll address it. Will's from Boxing Squared, isn't he? RF Boxing comes around to the channel as well.
Because there's literally nothing but UK stuff going on up on the channel. They went hard.
All right, that's phenomenal. I just want to know which guys. Which guys? You got to name them so I know what you're talking about. Because I don't want to go and address something completely different. Even Frank Warren said that if White was with him, he would have got a title shot. He probably would have fought Char, because Frank Warren did business with Char and Hay. He was in on that. You know? You know, he could have got freaking... What's Char? The world champion in the WBA? Because he's not the super world champion. He's the world champion. He's not Joshua. Oh, let me check the WBA rankings. But Char doesn't want to fight. But Frank would have put the money up for it. Mohamed Char, WBA world champion. Robert Hellenius is the WBA gold champion. Man, oh man. Robert Hellenius. What a comeback. What a comeback that man has made. Proud to see, since Chisora gave him his first loss. I mean, it says Hellenius won, but, you know. Is Will from New Zealand? Or is he from the UK? Because he follows a New Zealand-based channel. Man, Boxing Squared, he fucking cracked it that time I was in the chat. For no reason as well. When I said facts. But whatever. He's got a good channel. It's just he gets very sensitive when people say things he doesn't agree with. Which is not what you do. Look at me now. I'm having a nice chat with the chat. I like Will. Will comes over to my channel. He tries to stir me up a little bit. But it's... So Washington. Washington was undefeated. He was number 8 in the WBC. Jarrell Miller fought no one in the WBC. And then he fights Washington after Washington beat Wilder. Ortiz was in the WBA. Not at that time, but previously he was. Now, let me tell you something interesting about Stavern. Oh, Will's Aussie. There you go. Stavern. Right? When you're a champion, especially in the WBC, when you lose, you bide your time and wait. And you do that when you're with Don King. Because Don King is essentially the most well-connected guy in fucking boxing. Right? And he could still pull strings. So, do I think Stavern in 2017 was good? No. But he was made mandatory because he waited. Him and Povetkin were meant to fight for that. Povetkin tested positive for that. So then Stavern was going to fight Brazil for the mandatory position. Number 1 against number 6. Right? Just follow this, you know, because I'm just going to speak on it and not repeat it. Maybe in a different video, but because Povetkin tested positive earlier, Stavern just waited. He fought that Derek Rossi guy, but he waited. And once Ortiz tested positive when he was meant to fight Wilder in 2017, Stiverne was elevated to the main event, and Brazil was still entitled to the mandatory position, right? And there was some, I think, over 600,000 was put out there for step aside money, and I don't think who was meant to take it. I forgot, but they went through the rankings and they asked everyone from 1 to 10 who's going to fight Brazil for the mandatory position. So, Stiverne, who was number 1, couldn't do it. I think Dillian was number 7, or maybe he was higher than that. I know he was either number 7 or higher than that, right? And then no one took it. No one took it except Molina, who was number 12. So because Molina was number 12 and not ranked in the top 10, you're still ranked in the top 15. But he wasn't ranked in the top 10, right? So it was a semi-final eliminator for Eric Molina because he wasn't ranked in the top 10. But it was the final eliminator for Brazil if he won. So think about this. Brazil wins, he's the mandatory straight away. Molina wins, he's not the mandatory. He's got to fight another final eliminator. Yeah? And that's just how it works. It's what people fail to understand. It's what people fail to see. Oh, it's complete BS that Brazil and Molina fought because no one else wanted to fight. No one else wanted to fight. How come Dillian Whyte, the can man? Dillian Whyte, anyone can get it. I'm the can man. Couldn't take a fucking short notice fight and beat Brazil. A Brazil that was coming off a war with Ugonu. Ugonu was ranked number 34. And he gave Brazil, who was like top 10, that much trouble to the body. Can you imagine if Whyte fought Brazil? He could have gotten Brazil out of there, called Wilder in his hometown. He would have got more money for that fight as well than with Hellenius. But for some reason, people think that the silver champion is mandatory. He simply got put up there. Who did he beat number 16? He got put up there. Because Eddie knows how to pull a few strings. And it's not corruption. It's just like, hey, we fought for silver. Can you please, because the WBC, they're big on respect, can you please put us at number 1? And there was no one else really going to be put up there. Although Brazil should have been number 1 because he was mandatory, Whyte got put up there. So that was an error, really, on the WBC's part. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is now. Dillian is trying to sue the WBC. All good luck to him. And I mean, what can I say? He's got to focus on perfecting. A fight in which is now, for me, 50-45. It's closer than what I had it before. Because Dillian is so distracted. So, undisputed. It's going to have to wait, The whole virus is just fucking ridiculous, So, yeah. I mean, yeah, that's Dillian Whyte for you. He's got to wait. Who will be favored? Who will be favored? Whyte or Joshua, huh? That's not even a question, is it? It's going to be Joshua. But again, Fury got to get past the sledgehammer, and Joshua's got to beat the Bulgarian in Pulev. The technically sound Pulev with that nice right hook. So yeah, hopefully that's cleared things up because there'll be a watch back for this. So, I didn't even plan on going live. I just thought, fuck it, I'll go live, or I'll go live and I'll talk about Dillian. It would be good though if Dillian won. But I do think if Wilder wins, he'll fight Whyte next because Hearn's not going to want to make what do you call it? Hearn's not going to want to make Wilder versus Joshua. So it'll be Wilder versus Whyte. And if negotiations fail, we'll go to purse bids. Hopefully Dillian doesn't pull out of that either. You know, he so desperately wants the fight. He's just not quite willing to go over the hurdle. So instead he wants to see. Crazy. Man, I never knew Aussie people defended Dillian Whyte that much. Because over here in Australia, boxing is dead. Who we got, Jeff Horn? It's all in the UK and the US and Europe, and Mexico. That's it. Bud, don't call me Bud. White couldn't hold a ranking in other sanctioning bodies. Yeah, he could. He was. He tested positive, Will. He had Dianabol in his system. Okay? He's a cheat. Just like Ortiz and just like Povetkin. Yeah? The guy deserved that smoke. Where? In what world? If he eliminated us, I'll be agreeing with you. But no. He deserves a 6-month suspension. That's what he deserves. He is the WBC. He is what? He is, but the WBC keep changing goalposts, bud. He is what? I don't quite understand what you said there. I have no idea. Yeah, I simply don't know what he is. What are you referring to? I have no idea. I'll wait for you to type that in the chat. Oh, man. I just want to see if... I mean, Jarrell Miller's back in freaking... When's Miller back? When is Miller back? July 9th, he's back. Let me check his Instagram, actually. Hold on. Miller got lucky. The fact that he signed with Bob Arum, his career got saved. I'm just going to play something. Yeah, that's his story. No, who's he called out? I don't know, Jerry Forrest? They'll probably give him a journeyman or something. What time is it in Baltimore? 6 in the morning. I'm going to get off this pretty soon, so if anything else needs clarification, ask away. I mean, we got one person here anyway, so that's Will. But there will be a watch back. Look, Dylan's a good fighter. He just needs to do things himself. And he needs to not take Dianabol. Don't do that. Yeah? Don't do that. That's very bad for you, that shit. Okay? Really bad. Who else is? Settings. All right. Yeah, I don't know how Miller's fighting, but yeah, it should be interesting. Should be interesting. I don't really like to talk negative about fighters, in all honesty. And Will dipped out. There you go. See, people don't like the facts, man. But remind me not to do one at this time again, because it's pretty much dead space. I mean, RF Boxing came in at a funny time as well. But yeah, I mean, all the best to Dillian. Just don't mess it up, yeah? All right, I'm out. Adios.